Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Devin Sears, and I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Jocelyn Hendrickson. And today we are talking about creating high-converting WordPress landing pages. But before we jump into that, we have Jocelyn Hendrickson joining us today. She's one of our product managers, and she works on building some of the products that we'll be talking about today, and specifically our WordPress products here at Bluehost. My name is Devin Sears, and I am the Senior Field Marketing Manager, and we will be your host today. We're excited to talk about this with you, but before we jump into the content, a couple housekeeping items first. One, if you can hear us, find the chat box and tell us where you're tuning in from. We love to hear where our audience members are joining us from, and it's always a fun way to start the chat and let us know that you've found the chat box. The chat box, as you can see on this slide, is pictured, is next to the Q&A tab. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please don't hesitate to ask us. We want this to be an engaging and educational experience for you. So please don't hesitate to find that Q&A tab and drop any question that you might have in there. The most popular question that we always get is, will we be sending out a copy of this webinar to everyone that joined? Yes. The answer is yes. We will be sending out a copy of the recording within 24 or 48 hours after we're done today. As we go through the webinar and you're asking questions, I will be off camera doing my best to respond to them. If there's some questions that I don't know the answer to, or I think might be beneficial to ask to Jocelyn at the end so the whole group can hear the answer, we'll hold some time for a small Q&A portion at the end of today's webinar. So if you have any questions or have any issues with the software as you're participating today, best thing to do is to drop out of the webinar and rejoin. And you can always ping me in the chat and let me know you're having issues. And if it's something that the group is experiencing, we'll do our best to troubleshoot that as we're going along. So that's all the housekeeping out of the way. So today we're talking about landing pages. And we found this quote that we enjoy that says, a landing page without a goal is like using a GPS without a destination. Sure, it can be mildly helpful, but if you don't know where you're trying to get to, and if you don't have something giving you that clear direction, then you're not utilizing it the way it should be utilized. There's still a lot of value left on the table that you could be getting out of utilizing a landing page. So today, these are the things we'll be covering. We want to understand the role of a landing page in WordPress, what exactly it is, when you might want to use it, maybe when you don't want to use it. Then we're going to be getting into structuring a landing page and how to structure it for maximum impact so that it can actually affect the bottom line of your business. We're going to get into the user experience and best practices in WordPress for a landing page. And then we're going to talk a little bit about tools and plugins that you can add to your website to build effective landing pages. And we're also going to talk briefly about measuring success and optimizing for conversions. And we'll be jumping back and forth between slides and a demo. So very excited to see this play out and excited to have Jocelyn here with us. So Jocelyn, please take it away.
Hey, Devin, thank you so much for the intro. And I'm really excited to be here hosting this webinar about landing pages. So the first thing that I want to cover today is what exactly a landing page is and why it matters. So a landing page is typically a standalone web page that's created with one goal in mind, with one purpose, and that purpose is conversion. Conversion could mean conversion of a purchase. It could be somebody that you're trying to get to sign up for your newsletter, download a guide, book a consultation. But whatever it is, the thing that sets it apart from other pages on your website is that there is extreme focus. There are no distractions, typically no extra links, no menus to wander off to. Everything is designed on this page to guide your visitors to take that one specific action. Landing pages work across the board, whether you're running an online store, you're offering services, running a nonprofit, or even trying to grow your personal brand. So bottom line is, if you want to boost results for your visitors, for your sales, the landing page is one of the most effective tools that you can use to really move forward your visitors towards action. One thing that I think is really important about remembering with landing pages is that they are not your homepage. They could be in some use cases, but usually your homepage has multiple paths and invites exploration of your website, where again, your landing page is often tied to one specific campaign. Maybe somebody has gotten there by joining a Facebook ad or through an email link, a Google search result. This is where they land. Just no nav bar, no blog sidebar, just one clear message and one clear action. So what makes a landing page convert and why are they useful for you? The biggest thing is that your landing page needs to deliver clear value. Within the first few seconds of anybody coming to your website, they should know exactly what your offer is and why it matters to them. So this means benefit-driven headlines, very clear explanations, no fluff, just straightforward and letting them know within seconds what the page is for and what you're trying to offer. The second thing is that you want to build trust with your landing pages. You can add elements like testimonials, reviews, recognizable brand logos, security badges, or even guarantees. These will reassure the people that visit your website that they're in good hands and that what you're offering to them, they're going to feel more confident about that conversion. The third thing is to keep the design laser focused. You'll want to remove any unnecessary navigation or elements or visual clutter. And this is to help guide their attention to the one thing is that it's your call to action, or CTAs you'll often hear referred to. And lastly, your experience needs to be optimized. So as mobile devices, having it mobile first, mobile optimized is one of the most important things. The second is your fast load times. If you have a really slow or clunky page load, that can kill your conversions. So when you have all four of these things working together on your landing page, you can create a path that's really easy to follow and it's very compelling to act on. So how do you structure your landing pages for maximum impact? The first thing that I would say is before you touch any design or copy, you need to start with a very clear business goal. You need to ask yourself, what's the one thing I want my visitors to do on this page? Are you trying to capture leads with a free download? You're trying to sell a product, have people register for an event? The more specific you are, the better. The primary objective and your goal that you have should drive every decision that you have of the elements that you add to your page. So from the headline to the call to action, whatever content you want to have or that you leave out of that page, the clear goal keeps your message focused and your user experience really streamlined. Without it, you risk building something that may look good and you get visitors to land there, but it doesn't perform. Once you've defined your goal, the next step is really understanding who you're talking to. You need to know who is landing on your page and what they're hoping to solve. You want to think about the problem that they're facing and where they're at in the journey. Are they becoming aware that a solution exists? Are they in research mode? Are they trying to compare different brands or offers? Or are they ready to make a decision right now? So the reason that people are coming to your landing pages to begin with is that every person that visits, they're there for a reason, and your goal is to get them to act on the reason that they visit. And understanding, again, the visual or the journey, I think that helps with putting together your messaging, your visuals, and your call to action, because it should be based on that context. Someone in the awareness stage needs education and trust. Someone in decision stage wants clarity and urgency, and that pushes them to act. Now, you may not know whether they're in awareness or the consideration stage, and you can drive your messaging to be good for both of them. And that goes back to having very compelling messaging and some of those trust signals like the testimonials and those different things, so you can cater to a broader audience. But the more dialed in you are as to who's visiting your landing page, the higher your conversions are. And one more important layer here is making sure that your business goals and your visitors' goals align. Your business goal maybe to get somebody to sign up or buy something, but your visitor's goal is to solve a problem, learn something new, or make a confident decision. The high converting landing pages happen when you bring those two goals together. You're not just saying, buy this now. You're saying, here's something that helps you, and taking this action is how you get that. It's about creating a value exchange that's really, it's valuable and it makes sense for both sides, for you and your visitors to your website. So let's break down the key elements of the high converting landing pages. First, your headline is critical. It's the first thing that visitors see, and it should grab attention while communicating clear value. Something like "Get exclusive business growth tips free" tells them what they'll get and why it matters. Then you want to have a supporting subheadline that reinforces the main message and provides quick detail that adds context or urgency. The next part is your call to action, or your CTA. It needs to stand out really visually and use strong action-oriented language. It should feel like a natural next step and not a hard sell. It could be something like "Download my free guide now" instead of "submit" is something that's a really good call to action. And then again, the visuals and trust signals, those build your credibility. Real testimonials, product imagery, recognizable logos, or even small touches like secure checkout badges. Those can make someone feel more confident in clicking that button and continuing on with the conversion. And then the last thing is your visual hierarchy. Your layout should guide their attention naturally from your headline to your CTA with your clean design and white space. Those cues help lead the eye in the direction that you want them to take. And these elements all work honestly the best when they're aligned with what your goal is and what your audience goal is, which we've already covered and we've decided on. So we should be able to really easily align these elements to that. So here's just an example of a landing page. They have their compelling headline with supportive subheader and persuasive copy. They have a sense of urgency. That's your daily beauty sales, and that's for this date only. They've got excitement with their deals, pick your deal now. And then they have a strong call to action that's shop today's deals. So in this instance, the goal is to make a sale. One of the biggest things of landing pages that I love is the power of simplicity in them. Less is more. You want to remove anything that doesn't serve the goal for your visitors or for yourself. You want to provide instant clarity. They should understand the value instantly of what you're providing. It's very frictionless. And again, it has that singular focus. So be very intentional is my guidance with your landing pages. Don't just put something in because it may look good or because you feel like it. Every element on your landing page should serve a purpose and a goal that leads the customer or visitor to continuing in their journey. So an example of a bad landing page, if you send out a campaign and you're saying, get on this cruise, come here, and you have a million different offers, there's no real clear indication on this first example on the left of where the user's supposed to click, where they're supposed to go, because it's wanting them to go everywhere. Or an informational landing page, this isn't necessarily anything that you want in one of your campaigns either, because there's no clear call to action, there's no clear guidance, there's no one singular focus on either of these pages. The copy is one of the most important things, I think, over elements on a landing page, because you're writing for action. It's what's really going to sell or to convert the customers, to convince them to sign up, download the guide, contact you, subscribe. The biggest thing is you want to hook with your headline. Lead with your clear, benefit-focused language. Keep it really concise. Use simple, action-oriented sentences. Write for clarity and not cleverness. Sometimes it's fun to use wordplay and to be a little bit feisty with what your words might be, but really the visitor wants to know what they need, not just having kind of cutesy messaging. And then just, again, build trust with words. You can use testimonials and even reassurance copy, things like no spam, cancel anytime. Very concise, clear, and straightforward for the users. Then your CTAs, call to action. That's what's going to be what makes the customer move to the next step. So that's the subscribe now, enter here, shop now, using the clear, action-oriented language, like get my free guide, start savings now. You want to avoid generic terms like submit or click here. Your design matters too. Your CTA call to action should stand out with bold, high contrast colors and be really easy to find on the page. Again, the text should be short, direct, and benefit focused. The next thing is placement. A good rule of thumb is to place your call to action above the fold so it's immediately visible, and then you can repeat it throughout the page near high engagement areas like testimonials or product benefits. And then we'll talk about testing later, but you'll always want to run your A/B test on your wording, your color, and positioning. So for those who for terminology, I like to make sure that we're using terminology that helps everybody. When we say that your call to action should be above the fold, that's what you're seeing on the computer screen or on your mobile device before you make an initial scroll. So the user shouldn't have to look for the CTA. It should be immediately visible on the top of the page. So here's some design and kind of just best practices in creating your landing page. Once you have your content and your messaging, the next step is making sure everything flows in a natural, intuitive way. So your landing page is almost like a guided tour. Each section should lead the visitor one step closer to taking action. With your strategically placed CTAs, not just at the end, but in key moments when someone is more likely to be convinced. And always just look for ways to reduce friction. That could be shortening a form or removing unnecessary steps. A smoother path means higher conversion. So one of the things, like with your shortening your forms and making sure that everything that's on your page goes back to the less is more. If you are trying to contact or collect information from your customer, decide, is it really required for them to get your free guide? Do you really need their first and last name and email address and birthday and favorite color and favorite restaurant? Just get the necessary items that you need in order for you and your visitor to take the next step together. Some of the design elements of a landing page is that you want to ensure that your readability is the cornerstone of your user experience. So your color contrast, you need to make sure that your text stands out against the background, making it easy to read. High contrast is especially important for accessibility. And when we have our websites that are accessible, it's very much a kindness thing, and it's absolutely necessary in highly converting landing pages and any other website page. Typography should be both aesthetically pleasing and legible. Avoid overly decorative fonts that can make it so that the readability can be impaired, especially on smaller white screens. And then take advantage of your white space. White space is not just empty space. It's really a powerful design element that helps to focus your attention and reduce cognitive load. And then, of course, there's color psychology that influences user emotions or actions. For example, blue can often convey trust, while red is more of like a sense of urgency and action. Green is more serene and a sense of calmness. So make sure that you're using color psychology. Again, on your landing page and with your branding, make sure that that's aligned as well. For your mobile and speed optimization, you want to make sure that you, again, have your layout and hierarchy make a lot of sense, guiding the visitor's eye. You need to make it easy for them to focus on what matters most, your headline, your benefits, and your call to action. Your readability is super important, using those clean fonts. And then lastly, prioritize mobile and performance. So those are kind of the key elements of this chapter that I want to make sure are highlighted. And then next, we will dive into the tools and plugins that you can use to build a WordPress landing page. So the foundation of building your landing page, the native WordPress Gutenberg, is super easy. It's block-based system. It's really lightweight and really fast. And all of the elements that you need to build your landing page have been built into Core Block Builder and Gutenberg. Because this is a Bluehost demo, I will highlight that we do have our Wonder blocks. It really is built upon Gutenberg. It's built on Core Gutenberg, and it has really flexible, easy to use layouts, navigations that you can quickly use to throw together a landing page in seconds. And in just a minute, we'll go ahead and dive into both of those. Once your page is built, you'll also need a way to capture your leads, whether that's email signups, your downloads, or direct questions to you. WP forms, Jetpack forms are great starting points, There's often things like OptiMonster that's great. There's a ton of plugins out there that are amazing with CRMs and email platforms. You can look those up by, going to the plugins and searching for lead capture or form capture. Those are just a quick highlight of a few that we like. Now we'll talk about measuring success and optimizing. So to improve your landing page, you need to measure what's actually happening on it. You need to actually understand the elements and the paths that the users come from that are making it successful. So Google Analytics is a best friend for this. It shows how people engage with your page, where they land, how long they stay, and where they drop off. If you're running ads, you can do things like using a Facebook pixel that helps see which creative and audiences are driving your conversions. And then UTM parameters let you track where your traffic is coming from, whether that's from an email ad, social post, etc. You'll also want to make sure that you have event tracking, so making sure that clicks are tracked, you're monitoring your form submissions, you're looking at your scroll depth and how much customers are engaging. And together, these tools are going to give you a full picture of the performance of your landing page. And here are the things that you want to monitor with those. So it's, I guess, monitoring things and having analytics doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't know what you're monitoring. And so I would say that the 4 things that I have to highlight is your bounce rate. So are people leaving your page too soon without taking action? If they are, that typically means that they're not finding what they're expecting. So you want to make sure you're looking at those pages that have that high bounce rate and ask what might be confusing or off-putting. The time on page. This helps you know whether people are engaging with your content or skimming and leaving. You can use heat maps. You can use things like Hotjar or other session recordings to dig deeper into that behavior and that user flow. Your click-through rate tells you if people are interacting with your call to action. So are they engaging with your call to action? Are they hitting that subscribe now? If not, it's probably time to make some tests on that. Maybe the copy isn't strong. Maybe the button isn't visible enough. Maybe the placement's wrong. And you'll want to A/B test those things, make small tweaks. And we'll talk about A/B testing in a minute. And the last is your conversion rate. Are your visitors completing the goal? That's the bottom line. So everything that we've discussed with the layout, the trust, the speed, the messaging, ultimately that should work towards improving this number. So if you're not seeing that conversion rate, revisit those items and make those adjustments, making sure that you're including those elements. With your testing, once you're tracking the metrics, and it's time to experiment. So A/B testing seems like a big deal and can be, feel a little bit overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Start small, make small tweaks, change a headline, tweak a CTA button, swap out an image. The key is to test one thing at a time, though, so you can actually tell what made a difference. If you change your headline, your CTA, an image all at once, you're not going to understand what has the impact, whether it's positive or negative. So always just do one thing at a time, and then let your data guide your decisions. Let it have enough time for you to have that information before you make a decision on whether or not it was successful. And I guess the last thing is to iterate continuously. The most successful landing pages, they're never static. They're constantly evolving based on user behavior and performance insights. So with all of that being said, I want to jump into a quick demo of building a landing page using WordPress and Gutenberg. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, I'm hoping that we can see my screen, and I'll jump right in. Give a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay. So for building a landing page in Gutenberg, this is just using a local with a vanilla install of WordPress. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to New and Page. And this is going to jump us into the block editor with Gutenberg. You can see there's a ton of patterns that are already put together, that some of them will work really great for landing page designs. Some of them can be used for other contexts, but we're going to go ahead and exit out of that. In here, we're in the Gutenberg editor, and here there are a ton of elements that we can include to quickly and easily make a landing page. You can see we can do a heading, a list, a quote. Everything that we need to make a really good landing page is already included into the builder. So we can come here, and here's where you're going to say, here is my super strong call to action or super strong headline here. And maybe instead of having it be standalone there, maybe I want it to be with media and text like this. And so let me grab a picture. We'll upload a file. Let's see. We were just building a test demo for sports nutrition website. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. It's uploaded into my media library. So I can have this here, and then I can actually move my headline into this text area down here. Quick, easy drag and drop. Here's where I'd want to put, here is my very supporting subheadline. This is quick and brief and should help users make a decision without too much information. And then from here, we can quickly insert a button, and we can say something like, learn more now, or get a guide now. So honestly, if you were just wanting to say, hey, download, here's what we can do, this is where you'd want to have really good imagery. Of course, my messaging doesn't support this imagery, but for my website or my blog, that's something that I would want to make sure we're in alignment with each other. But that's how easy it is to put together even a very, very basic landing page with just using the Gutenberg elements. They also have other patterns that are available. You can look at these call to actions. And what's great about these is that you can kind of mix and match. So if you're wanting more of a longer content landing page, which is fine as long as it has the right information and it's not, doesn't have too much additional information, you can include these call to actions here. You can and then, of course, you can quickly edit any of the content in here just by clicking in. You can update the text here. There's also other great patterns that have been built. So they have these headers patterns that are, that you would use at the very top. You have the media patterns that look really good. There was one that I saw, the testimonials for the social proof. You can insert these, make changes, make updates, just whatever you need that matches your brand and the content that you want to provide. But again, with how rich the block patterns are, it's super easy to come in, make those adjustments. Maybe I don't want, 3-column layout with the 6 testimonials. Maybe I just want to have a 2-column layout in all of these. You can customize them super, super quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is that when we put in the title of the landing, we have landing page here. By default, this is going to use the template of pages. And when I publish this page here, it's going to use my standard menu. So I just created this site, but it has my footer and it has my header that has all these links. And what we talked about is we don't want to have leaky funnels and ways for people to kind of navigate. We want it to be very focused. And so when you're creating landing pages, one thing that makes it super easy is if you make a landing page template. And so the easiest way to get to where we want to go is to let's start from your dashboard. If you go into appearance and you go to editor, you'll see this. You'll jump into templates, which depending on the theme that you have a lot of pre-made templates already here and ready to go. But there is no landing page template by default for this particular theme that I'm using, which is 2025. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say add new template, and I'm going to make a custom template, and I'm going to call it landing page template. I'm not going to choose this existing pattern. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. So in here, all we want to do in this is we're going to choose the content block. So what this will do is that you don't have to build and rebuild multiple templates for your landing pages. What this will do is that it will display all of the blocks in any single post or page, but it's not going to show your menus and your navigations unless you add your navigation to that template. And again, we discussed that's something that we don't want. And so we're going to keep this out. And so that way, the only content that shows on my landing pages is the content that I just created. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now to show you, I'm going to go back to the navigation. I'm going to go back to WP admin, look at the pages, all pages. I'm going to go to my landing page that we just created. And so again, when we view this page, you'll see that I have that menu. I need to change this from using the pages template to the landing page template. And I just noticed, I hadn't seen this before. Must be something new that I didn't notice, but you can do create new template straight from the page that you're building. So that's cool. We're going to go ahead and save that. And now when we take a look, we don't have that menu here anymore. We don't have the footer here anymore. It does change the formatting a little bit because it was using the pages template previously. But that's something, again, to avoid your leaky funnels. You want it really focused with the content only, with minimal ways for customers to leave that landing page. The other thing that I want to show for Bluehost, there's a lot of other page builders and a ton of block builders out there that we've seen. There's Beaver Builder, there's Divi, there's tons of great builders. And I just kind of wanted to, again, highlight the power of Gutenberg and the block editor. So for Bluehost customers, we do have Wonder blocks that come preloaded on every Bluehost website. That again, we saw those templates and those patterns before that are core WordPress, and the ones that are specific to the theme. We've taken those patterns and we've built a ton of different patterns, templates that you can use to build out a full page. So if you have, a coming soon page or a contact page, we can do this here. I think that I need to have the Jetpack forms installed on this website, which I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and install a form here, and this will support the block that we are trying to insert. So while that's installing, I'll just show, a couple other things that we have here. These are great landing page templates that we have. And if there's parts of it that you like and don't like, you can easily, remove things, reorder them, and it makes it super easy and quick to make a great landing page template. And that's one of the patterns that we're actually working on now. But together, between any of these headers that we have that are pre-built, you can easily craft something really quickly that aligns with everything we discussed with a very successful call to action, with a very successful landing page. I think that is it for the demo. And I think that takes us to our Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Jocelyn. I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. We were able to bring that together really quickly. I think the landing page looks great. I think it is going to be super helpful for everyone participating today. So I had a few questions that I wanted to go through, and we don't have too much time, but we do have a little bit of time, so we can go through a few of these.
Sure.
First question here is, what's the difference between a homepage and landing page in terms of design and function? And I know you kind of covered this, but I saw a couple of people asking about it, so maybe just another quick recap.
Yeah. So your homepage really acts as, your main hub and navigation to multiple parts of your website. Your homepage should generally have a really strong call to action and guide users towards other parts of your website. So if you're an e-commerce shop, you would say like shop now this, fall collection. And when they click that button, they're taken to another page. So your fall collection page, where here you would highlight multiple different products that are part of the fall collection. And really, this kind of just encourages the users to browse. And it's the main point that spiders them to other portions of your website. Where again, your landing page is designed for a single focused objective. So capturing leads, selling the product. It typically hides that navigation to minimize the distractions, and it has one action. So whether that action is contact us or subscribe now, after that point, you would say like, thank you. And that's it for their journey. And then you would maybe link them to back to your homepage after they completed that action.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's see. The next question that I have from the chat, what's the best way to optimize my CTA placement for better engagement?
Yeah, good question. So again, you want to have a primary call to action above the fold. So it's immediately visible. The users don't have to look for it. It's showing immediately. You want to reiterate it throughout the page, especially after benefits or testimonials. Make sure that it has high contrasting colors and strong action verbs. And then again, just to ensure that it aligns with the reason that your customer is visiting.
And I'll kind of echo that. And going back to the previous question, I feel like it also kind of pertains to this idea that if you have a call to action, usually on your landing page, it's a single call to action, whereas your homepage, you might have a few different directions that your visitor might want to go. But with the landing page, I think having the call to action even more than once on the page is fine, because that's kind of the point of that page, is to have that visitor take the next step or the next action.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree.
The next question we have, how many form fields should I include on my landing page for maximum conversions? I suspect this is, if a contact me or, leaving any sort of contact information.
Yeah, I think that again, that kind of depends on what it is that you're asking. I think that for conversion, you want as little as possible. I think 3 to 5 is probably the sweet spot. But again, I think that like maybe like their name, their email. It's hard to say because it depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Is it trying to book a consultation? Because if it's book a consultation, obviously they're going to have to go pick a time, pick a date, maybe even say request a consultation. If it's just download my free guide, typically that's just like, what's your first name? What's your email address? You don't need much more than that. And then I think that you really need to ask truly what's necessary for those top funnel pages. And then if later in the stage of the journey with your customer, they've converted, they've subscribed to your pages, the more interactions you have with them, you can gather more information later from those customers, but really just ask what's necessary for that action.
I like that. And I think like you called out, there is a balance to strike, right? Because say, for example, if I do like have like a landscaping business or something, like I might want to ask, what's the scope of the project you're trying to hire me on for, if you just put your name and email or name and phone number or something, and I call and then I have to ask a bunch more questions, which I think is good for lead gen. But if you can ask maybe one or two additional questions that helps allow you to bring some information to that contact, to say like, hey, thank you so much for filling out that form. I took a look at the scope of the project you're looking for, and I think I can get you there for X amount of dollars, or
Yeah.
I think I can get you on the schedule next week for a house visit or something like that. But yeah, I think there really is a balance to strike in that. Yeah. The next question we have here is, how do I create urgency on my landing page without making it seem too pushy?
Oh, that's a really good question because we've seen, we see that all over the place. And it really is a good conversion tactic because customers kind of or visitors, they kind of lean on that FOMO, that fear of missing out. And so I think that just being kind of like real, you can have countdown timers, you can have limited time offers, you can have tight deadlines. Like if you register before this Friday, I've seen this with a lot of conferences, is typically like early registration and the fee is only $30 versus late registration, your fee is now $45 to $50. And without seeming too pushy, like, I don't know, I guess try to avoid all caps. Don't use red for that messaging. Like, don't make it feel overly aggressive, but more, I think, incentivizing. Maybe free shipping is a really good one, right? Like, purchase today and get free shipping, or percentage discount if you, make a consultation for your, the landscaping business. Limit, if you contact us today, we'll give you a discount. I think that would be really it, like, maybe no threats. Like,
Yeah, definitely no threats. I think that's good advice. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so the next question we have on here, what are the best WordPress page builders for beginners to create a landing page?
I think that there's a ton of builders out there. Again, like I said, there's a lot of really easy patterns that are already built into WordPress. It's so flexible with how much you can really just edit, insert, change the patterns that come with the blocks. I think that there's there's a ton of other ones. You have Divi, there's Beaver Builder, which is really great. Elementor's good. I think if you just look at page builders, you can find anything that you need. But I do think that using the core Gutenberg, block editor gives you everything that you need, because it makes the page super lightweight, super fast, super easy to build those quick landing pages.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let's see, the next question here. How do I A/B test different elements of my landing page? This gets into a topic that I don't think we touched on too much, which is A/B testing.
Yeah. So you can use a few different tools. There's a lot of plugins that are out there for A/B testing. There's like, I'm trying to think the name of it. It'll come to me in a minute. But I think, again, it goes back to knowing your analytics. You need to understand what you're testing and why, and what metric you're trying to improve on. And so if you're not capturing the leads, if they're not converting, why are they not converting? Is your form too long? Are you asking the right questions? You need to make sure that you change one element at a time. So if you're going to change the placement of your button, only change the placement of the button and don't change the text on that button, just the placement, and don't change the color, right? Like, and if you change the color, don't change your placement, because you want to see the full picture of what makes the changes of, if it's more performant or less performant, if you're getting the results that you want. Do those things, and then give yourself enough time to gather the information and the data that's coming through to see if you are getting the results you want or not. And then you can just revert back to the previous stage of what your site looked as, so you have your control and you have your test. And if your test is doing better, then great. Now we iterate again. So if you change the placement, now would be the time to maybe try changing the text on the button and compare your performance again. And if it worsens, right, we're going to revert the text, but we're going to keep our placement the same, because we've already decided that the placement change was a positive. And your metrics and analytics is the most important thing, just to pay attention to those and understand where you're at and what the changes are impacting, one small element at a time.
I like that. Yeah, just change of degrees can have a huge impact on your success and your website for sure. But that's the whole point of A/B testing, is you never know if that change is going to be a positive change or a negative change, which is the whole point of A/B testing. The next question we have on our list today, and we've just got a few more. Can I use landing pages for email marketing campaigns? And if so, any suggestions on the best practices for that?
Absolutely, you should use landing pages for your email campaigns. In fact, landing pages are typically supposed to be limited time, not always living content. Typically, they're for smaller time promotions. And I think that when Devin, when you and I were talking about this and getting this webinar put together, you brought up a really good point. Like if you go into your email inbox and you look at any promotion that you're getting through any company, you click on the link that's there, it's typically to a targeted ad or to a targeted landing page for whatever it is that they've emailed you and not to their homepage. So I think that the best way to do it is, again, like create the landing page that's very specific. Now, let me back up. If you're going to do it for an email campaign, you need to have a very solid email campaign use case. Like, what is your email campaign and what are you trying to get out of your email campaign? Are you trying to get more subscribers? Are you trying to have them make purchases? So decide on that. And then you want to build your landing page tailored to whatever the email's message and content is. You know, if you said, hey, Devin, for a limited time only, you can get 20% off these red sneakers, right? And I send you this email and you click on that link and you don't see red sneakers and you're taken to like a contact form, that doesn't make sense, right? So it needs to make sure that everything that's in the email is on, not everything in the emails on the page, but that the landing page has supporting imagery, messaging, content, copy that supports your email. And then, you know, you can offer lead magnets, you know, a lot of people will do like discounts, checklists, ebooks, just free assets for, you know, like it really just depends on what the company is. I think a lot of like recipe blogs, you'll get like, get my free top 10 recipes in your inbox today. And then integrate with various email platforms. Like there's, you know, like MailChimp or ConvertKit. There's a lot of really great email platforms out there that will help you keep an eye on your metrics and see how those emails are performing with your landing pages.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And it actually goes perfectly into the next question, which is what are the best ways to drive traffic to a landing page?
Yep, that's a really good question. So driving traffic to your landing pages really comes in the form of like search ads, you know, like paid for ads like on Google, Bing, etc. Social media ads using Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, email marketing, that'll get the traffic there. You can optimize your SEO if you have evergreen content with the landing pages, which sometimes landing pages can be evergreen, but typically they are limited time. You can do affiliate and influencer marketing. And so they may have their own specific link. They may have their own URL that when their visitors click on the link, you provide them a special discount or you provide them with a special freebie or whatever it is. And then I think content marketing is really great as well. You can have guest posts or, you know, different things like that. But really, it's just getting it out there and making sure that your messaging, whatever your messaging, aligns with what your content is that you're providing or what they're, you know, think about your users and your visitors and what problem they're trying to solve. What are they looking for that you can provide them? And just ensure that those ads and those placements, everything aligns to that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And sometimes I like to think of a landing page as a moment in your customer's journey, right? So I don't think you should necessarily need to try to get a huge bump in traffic to the landing page. Obviously, that's preferable. The more traffic, the better. And we're talking about websites and conversions. But I don't think that you need to do anything that's too over the top to say, hey, I only get 100 visits a site or a day usually. I'm going to try to get 10,000 to this landing page. I think the goal of the landing page is to have that hyper focused, very goal oriented moment in your campaign. So I think what other campaigns you're running, just make sure that that is still fitting into your other marketing efforts. I think is my suggestion on that.
Absolutely. Your landing pages are not your main source of traffic. They're just a portion of the funnel, right? For the customer, just
Right.
like you said, just a small blip of time.
Exactly. We have one or two more questions. Before we get to them, I want to just advance this slide. If anyone has any other questions for Bluehost or about their website that they want a little bit more attention on their website, Here's some other resources you can use. You can also click on the sticky note in the chat. That can get you to some other things. And while we go through the last question or two, if there are topics that you would love to see us do a webinar on in the future, please don't hesitate to drop those in. We want to make sure that we are here in helping you build your website, and we want to be viewed as a partner in your website building process. So please don't hesitate to drop those in the chat as we finish up with this Q&A. And we do have 2, maybe 3 more questions that I think we might be able to get to. One is, what trust signals are the most effective in increasing conversions?
That's a really good question. I think that, again, it kind of depends on what it is, like what your brand is, if you're a commerce business or you're a blog. But I think real customer testimonials, not stock images, but actual visitors or users that you've had with their photos typically helps. People like to put a real name and face to a brand. That helps them be a little less, skeptical about it. If you're selling something, trust badges like your SSL, your payment secure, certifications, like you'll see like trusted by Norton, you can include those. You can provide case studies or result-based content. You can include things like media mentions, I think can be helpful, or like client logos. Like if I'm a designer, right, or if I'm an agency business, I can say, recently, view my portfolio or trusted by these clients. And then I think visible contact information somewhere. And when you're like landing page, I think another part of the trust signals are also having your landing page content and messaging align with your brand. So that way, during that funnel, or if they've seen your brand before, it doesn't feel like it's incorrect and it doesn't match, right? Like I think authenticity is one of the most important things with those trust signals.
I completely agree, and I think you already touched on this during the Q&A section, which is just that kind of cohesive feel to the brand, right? Like if someone thinks they're arriving at a website for a discount on red shoes, if it's something that's not related to that at all, then it's going to be very jarring psychologically to that person. They're not going to be like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. I'll keep clicking around. Usually our gut reaction is just to click out of the page and say, mark as spam. This clearly is something erroneous. So yeah, completely agree with that. One last, I think this will be the question that we can end on, is how often should I update or optimize my landing page for better performance?
Iterate often. I think we iterate often. But again, I think it depends on your landing page. Sometimes it is a limited time only landing page. Sometimes it's a subscribe now, kind of more of an evergreen landing page. But I think it depends on your metrics. How are your metrics performing? Are you getting the results that you want to get? If not, then you're iterating and you're testing and you're changing. Obviously updating, like you want to make sure that you're keeping things up to date, that if you change your branding, make sure you're also changing the branding on your landing page. But I really think that that's very dependent on how you're performing and what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's great. I think it's the point of the goal-oriented website is, as long as it's still supporting your goals, as long as you're still seeing results, then probably don't need to focus on it as much. But if you see consistent results and then see a dip in that, or you want to try to improve that or increase those results, then yeah, it's time to iterate.
I mean, I think with that too, there's certain things like people don't necessarily want to see the same testimonials for, if they visit multiple times. So you can do things like make sure that those are fresh, if you're getting the results you want. Other than that, just make iterations that are small and do them often.
Awesome. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I believe that brings us to time. So huge thank you to Jocelyn for sharing your knowledge and experience with us, and for walking us through the demo. I always think those are super helpful, especially as people are learning how to do this for the first time. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and insight with us, and we'll talk to everyone soon.